I was diagnosed with cancer on Friday and cancer-free the next Friday.
Warryn Campbell is a Grammy Award-winning music visionary, executive, and producer who's worked with global icons like Stevie Wonder, Yolanda Adams, Kanye West, Jennifer Hudson, Mary.
To be honest with yourself. What are your habits? What are your passions? Originality comes from you knowing who you are. I don't practice trying to get things right. I practice so it's impossible for me to get it right.
Many would look at your journey to date and would never make that correlation of now you're a pastor.
You would make the connection if you had spent time with me in the studio. Like most of those sessions were turned into Bible studies. So it came to me like a song I wrote. Like, I don't write songs. God writes songs. I take dictation.
To whom much is given, much is required. Part of that requirement is sharing. Culture is the heartbeat within our lives, and it's at the core of so many things. While we live in a time when we are starving for wisdom, I welcome you to your wisdom retreat at Culture Raises Us. When you hear culture, what does that mean to you?
When I hear culture, I don't think as broad as most people do, because people hear culture and they think country. They think certain things that regions represent. But I think culture is any space that you live in that develops you. You know what I mean? It could be a small space. Because there's a culture of my house. There's a culture at my school. There's a culture, you know what I'm saying? I think of the curated spaces that, that shape us, that, maybe it was a space that your parents put you in preschool that helped shape you. I was very much so shaped by my neighborhood, of course, but mostly by my house. But the neighborhood is broader, right? My neighborhood was a Crip neighborhood, and it was wild, drug infested, gang infested. But the culture of my home, where I lived, shaped me so much to where the outside forces that could have shaped me had I not been for that
foundation.
Culture. So yeah, I think when I think cultures, I think these little areas, not just one big thing. Because you got that, but it's really the things that I think that are closest to you that shape you the most, if you allow it.
Yeah, and when you give that definition, and I love the context, I come back to the music piece with you, and I wonder, was there a particular moment where you realized just how big and instrumental music culture was to shaping all of what I call our global ecosystem? Very similar to how you talk about these little things.
Yeah.
But was there a moment where you were like, yo, Astor, this is when I realized how this music thing really helps to shape a ton of things, and I saw it just move the world or something at that moment?
You know what it was for me? I've been involved in music my whole life.
Yeah.
I was born into a very musical family, so I kind of like, you better know how to play or sing or something in this family. But it wasn't until I was 8 years old. Yeah, I was 8 years old, and the Motown 25 special came on television. And all the great Motown artists, Marvin, Stevie Wonder, the Temptations, the Four Tops, all these, Diana Ross, they were showing Berry Gordy. And they were talking about the history of, because up until that point, I knew who these people were, but I knew them in the 1983 context, not in the 1963 context, wherever they started, And so they were showing all these old clips, and I saw Stevie Wonder as a little boy for the first time. Then I saw Marvin Gaye as a young man. It was in black and white.
Which is wild, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was like, oh, wow, I'm 8 years old going, that music that I've been hearing my whole life, and then they're old now, like they're older, and they look different. And I'm like thinking about all the trends. I saw so many trends on the stage. How Marvin was dressed and how Stevie was dressed. I remember when Stevie was wearing the braids with the beads, and you had a bunch of dudes, even in the gospel music scene back in the day, they started wearing braids with the beads. There was a guy named Keith Pringle who was like this big gospel star. He had the braids. It was all these guys, and I was like, that's where they got that from? Oh, and I saw that it was music, the music artists that were really, not even necessarily the film and TV stars. It was the music artists that people were following, like what we're gonna dress like and stuff like that, mostly.
And that's when you knew and had this epiphany of, wow, this thing really is powerful.
Very powerful. And then you go to next year, LL Cool J is huge, 84, 85. I want to rock a Kango to school. I'm begging my mom for a Kango. She buys me a gray Kango for my first day of 5th grade, and I'm like,
life changing. Right, life changing.
Music.
And I would then say that is a pivotal moment. Outside of that moment, we look at, was there a golden era for you of music, like a moment where you see, outside of the moment that you just talked about as a child, was there a moment that you then saw within music culture where it was like, this was the golden era for you? Because this is very subjective as well, as is music, right? Was there a golden era of music for you?
Definitely. I mean, you know, it's the golden era sonically, but then commercially as well. Sonically for me, it's the 70s. Okay. Just how warm the music was, and the content. They talked about love in a way that love was attractive. They talked about pain it made everything they did was huge. Everything was attractive. And then I go commercially with the 80s because I'll just say it this way. Now when I listen to the radio, kind of feel like I'm listening to like one long song because everybody sounds like kind of similar.
Yep.
In the 80s, it wasn't the same. And it's indicative of I'll come back to this. So Tina Turner, 80s, did not sound like Madonna.
1000%.
Did not sound like Whitney Houston. Did not sound like Gladys Knight, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, Billy Ocean, Billy Idol. You know what I'm saying? All these people sounded completely, they were huge. Toto, you know what I'm saying? But, and mind you, the guys in Toto were playing on those records that I just mentioned. These guys are playing on all those records.
Right, so it easily could have been a unique one sound.
But it wasn't.
They played into each respective individual, their craft, their uniqueness, their gift.
The musicianship was like, you know, so now I'm like, that's what's kind of missing, you know, to me. So that golden era was when everybody had their own just identity. When you heard Raphael Sadiq's voice, you didn't go, who's that?
Right.
You knew exactly who it was. He's the only person that sounds like that.
You know, it's crazy. I was just listening to a song the other day with my little, and as I was listening to it, I was like, oh, that sounds like it's a Travis sound. But then when I looked at the label, it wasn't Travis's name on there. So it's exactly what you just said and I love how you just put it up. It sounds like one continuous song.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to articulate that of the sound being so similar that you don't have. And I mean, there are different sounds that punch through, right? But to the point that you're mentioning, it does all feel pretty much
because
same.
For now for somebody to punch through and be different, it's an anomaly. When before, that's what it was. It's kind of like Michael Jackson didn't want to sound like Prince. He wanted to compete with him. Kind of like, so like, not just music. Think about sports. You know what I'm saying? Like, now you got guys, I can't win a ring, so I'm going to go and join this other team and create a super team so we can win a ring. But then Magic Johnson would say from the same 80s era, I'm talking about, I don't want to play with Larry Bird. I want to beat him.
It would never happen.
I don't want to play with Michael Jordan. I want to beat him.
That's right.
I'm a Laker. I'm never going to join the New York Knicks. I want to beat Patrick Ewing and them.
Yeah, I know this hits you hard because you probably grew up a big Laker fan.
Giant Laker fan.
Good gosh. And I grew up as a Knicks fan, very tough. But
well, you know, I have empathy for you. I do.
Oh, jeez. Oh, excuse me. Wow. What a statement.
I'm saying they haven't won since before you in your lifetime.
Actually, they have. Wait a minute.
No, they have not.
Championship. You might be right
72,
on that.
1972.
You're so right. Jeez.
The last one.
I felt like I was there, but I wasn't. You're right.
Because y'all still celebrating it.
No, listen, holding on tight.
Like New York is like that.
No, listen, and you see how much conviction I said it with, and you had to reel me back in. Astor, actually, no, 2 years before you were born.
Yeah, you weren't there.
Okay, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna get back there. Your Lakers are looking decent, by the way.
Listen, they're starting to be the team to beat right now.
Okay, we're gonna go off of this because I see you getting a little too. Listen, I want to sincerely, you know, I've had the pleasure of knowing you for so many years, and I'm so glad we've reconnected, and your spirit has remained the same. And I love how God continues to work through you. You know, I have to give you an early congratulations on this Gospel Music Hall of Fame induction.
Oh wow! Yeah,
That's coming up this year. Well deserved.
thank you, man.
And again, love to see how God is working. For you, is there something that you are most proud of with this accomplishment?
In the gospel music space,
Mm-hmm.
it would have to be the whole Mary. I'm gonna say world, the Mary ecosystem. They have their own
Yeah.
thing happening, but to be a part of creating that was because you got to think. Before that, I had never done anything in gospel.
Really?
Yeah, I grew up in church, but professionally, I started at Death Row Records. Yeah, I started at Death Row, and then I think right after Death Row was I started doing R&B. I did a bunch of Drew Hill and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And Mary was the first gospel thing I had ever done professionally
Wow.
as a producer. And so to be involved in that, and them, I mean, shout out to them for allowing me to, just kind of creatively just do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just like, they had all these, I was wild young. That song Shackles came out, I might have been 22
Wow.
or something like that, and they were just allowing me to do whatever, even down to their name. Because they didn't have a name. I was like, I like those alternative rock band names like Eagle Eye Cherry, Third Eye Blind.
Mm-hmm.
Like the rock bands have the coolest names. I didn't necessarily like the gospel music names,
Mm-hmm.
the so-and-so Travelers,
Right.
I don't know, all these different, I was like, So I said, how about Mary? He was like, what? Well, I mean, it's a religious, it's Mary in the Bible. And at the time, I wasn't a theologian or anything like that. My father was.
Hmm.
And we were in the studio in the basement of my parents' house. My dad was upstairs watching TV. I said, I'll be right back. I ran upstairs and I said, hey, Dad, were there two Marys in the Bible? He said, what? What do you mean? I said, well, there two Marys. He's like, boy, I done bought you books and sent you to school. You still don't know nothing. Yeah, there's two Marys in the Bible. Oh, yes. Okay. Ran off. Now came back. So, wait, Dad, did they know each other? He was like, yeah, they were like sisters.
Look at that.
Boom. I'll run back downstairs.
Look how God works.
I said, I tell the girls, like, Mary, and how legit it is. I was like, all right. But just to be a part of that, and, they went so far so fast. That first album.
Huge.
Yeah. Like, I don't know any other gospel artists whose debut album sells 1 million albums. Actually, 2 million.
Then as well, in that
Yeah.
time, that was huge.
Yeah, like this. Like you're a brand new artist and you're opening up for YouTube. Yeah, I don't know that.
As you tell this story, I think back to how you even started this conversation when you talked about culture and how the culture of the home was so influential for you and how you then went out into the world. And if you look at the story of how the naming of even Mary, of look where you went
Yeah,
to get that
yeah,
in the home,
yep,
to your father who had poured into you, who was poured into by God, who then God's pouring into him.
yeah,
Like, it's such a strong correlation to the impact of strong cultures, foundations, and why it's so necessary to preserve
yeah,
these things and nurture them in such a way.
yeah,
And just listening again to the story, it brought it full circle of the why. And so, I had no clue that was your first like professional gospel project, and now we're talking about you being inducted into the Hall of Fame. But then I also look back at you've done some of my most favorite songs on the R&B hip hop side, especially with Ye in particular, and one of which, and look how it all comes back again, Sunday Service.
Oh man.
I mean, like every performance from me that I've ever gone to, probably some of the top live performances I've ever been to in my life. And I've been blessed to go see a number of people. I mean, Stevie, Jay, all these different people. But Sunday Service was different. Talk about that process and that working with Kanye on that, and how that brought a whole nother realm of things for you in this space.
Well, when you talk about cultures too, Kanye sort of, I would say, a lot of people say he started doing gospel. I said no. For a time, he commandeered the gospel space, like in a powerful way, and because of who he is and the light that he had on him, he shed up this bright light on not just gospel music, but at the time you got to think about this. Choir music was pretty much dead. Choirs couldn't get arrested. They weren't touring. They weren't. Kanye comes with this choir. All of a sudden, choirs are popular again. Like choirs is like,
It's the thing.
the Jordan 1s. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got to have a choir now. Then all of a sudden, everybody's calling for choirs on the albums. I'm getting calls from Pharrell, like, can you put a choir on this song for me? I'm like, it's happening like that. And so that part for me was special, and I wanted to be a part of it. So after he came to my church and brought a Sunday service to my church, he calls and said, I'm working on this album. Come to the house tomorrow. And I come out there and listen. I said, I got something for you. So we started working. I did the single on that album, his Jesus is King album, called God Is. And, it's crazy going from working with him I worked with him on his Late Registration album, on his Graduation album, and most recently on the Donda, but watching him doing this Sunday service, Jesus is King album, was a different Kanye. He wasn't the, I don't want to say cocky, but the confident, like when we did Late Registrations, I'll never forget, we're in a room, he's doing interviews just like this. He's saying stuff like, this is for Late Registration. You really want to take moments like this in when I'm talking about this album, because this is like watching Michael Jackson talk about Thriller before it happened.
And this is how he's talking. Exactly.
That's how he's talking. But with the Jesus is King album, he's not that Kanye at all. Different cat, very humble, very like, man, this is not my lane. So, and I'd never seen him be like that, but it was still successful. And I say he commandeered the gospel space because if you look when his album came out, because, streaming is a big part of the charts. I think he had all top 10 slots. It was all Kanye.
Oh, right. On the gospel
on the gospel chart.
And it was Kanye West.
Kanye West. Nobody else. I'm talking about the biggest gospel stars in the world. Nobody can crack the top 10 while he was there. Which is easy to do, Consider, okay, say like when we were selling CDs back in the day, right? Say like this is 1997. And to go number one, when you release an album in the mainstream space, Mary J releases an album, she sells 700,000 the first week. Oh, she's number one. In gospel, back then even, you sell 5,000 the first week, you're number one. Because the space it's just a
smaller space.
Much smaller pond, and Kanye is a whale.
Not even a big fish, right.
He's a whale. I was going to say big fish, but that wouldn't suffice. He's a whale. And so for him to come in there, and so a lot of people were upset in gospel, like, man, he coming over here.
I remember that. And
I said, well, y'all need to get your weight up then. If that man can come into this space and do that.
And we know who, it was about who the glory was going to. This was God's work.
He wasn't like, I did. He didn't care.
Right.
He said, I'm just doing music, I said, you got the problem. Y'all get y'all weight up. They said, well, you can say that because you're on the album. I'm like, if I wasn't on this album.
The same thing.
I said, I put out I did a compilation album with all my gospel artists. Kanye dropped his album the same day as mine. You know what I did with my album? It was out for about a week. I took it down. I said, you know what? Let this pass. I'll pull it back up later. I ain't got no ego, and I'm like, listen, I got to get my weight up. That's it.
Yeah, and I think when you look at it through that lens, and the work that's being done, it brings you back to how God is using different individuals and moments as vessels to do His work. And I'm so glad that we can have this conversation. As I didn't even know you've been a pastor for over 10 years. 10 years. I mean, talk about, that journey, because many would look at your journey to date and would never make that correlation of now you're a pastor, right? But that's a very narrow-minded vision. But
you would make the connection if you had spent time with me in the studio, right. Especially, in the maybe the 6-7 years leading up to me pastoring, because it seems like most of those sessions would turn into Bible studies. I'll start keeping the Bible in the studio, and people would ask me questions. Oh man, and I'm if you knew me before that, not a talker like that. I would sit in the room and not. You knew me back there. I wasn't.
Nah,
You wouldn't even know I was there.
that's right.
I mean, I'm absorbing everything I hear, but I'm not the talker. And so all of a sudden, I got a lot to say, and it's just kind of
But you've taken in a lot too.
taking in a whole lot. And so this is how it started. It's like Biggie said, it came to me like a song I wrote, right? How I write songs is I don't write them. So like we talked about Mary Mary, that song Shackles. Like it was a download. Like I don't write songs. God writes songs. I take dictation. That's it. Like I hear it and go like, oh. It's not like I sat down and said, I'm gonna write a song and I just made this up. No. It's literally almost involuntary. So same thing happened with preaching. I would be driving and I'd look up and see a billboard that said whatever. And I'd be at a stoplight and I'd look at that billboard and all of a sudden it would hit me. There's a correlating scripture and a whole message and illustrations and anecdotes and all this stuff would just pop up in my head like, wow, what do I do with that? I don't know, And it would happen over and it never stopped. We having a conversation, I correlate that to a text in the Bible that, oh man, that would be a good illustration of when John the Baptist said da da da. One day I'm in church and I was a organ player at the church and I got my Bible right there and my pastor, Bishop Kenneth Omer, he's preaching. And I'm following along in the Bible. I'm like, oh man, when I tell you he's probably one of the most prolific and greatest teachers ever. He's preaching. I said, oh man, he skipped out. He should have said. I said, wait a minute, what am I saying? I realized at that moment, like, you know what? Something's going on with me because this is happening. It's a year now. It just won't stop happening. I'm in the studio talking to Bible, so I talked to my pastor, my bishop about it. He was like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's put you in the ministry class. It's a 2-year program. And then after that, you'll see, I was in that class 3 months. He calls me and said, I was at his house one day. He says, we're going to license you to be a minister next month. It was December. He said, in January, get ready. I said, wait, I've only been in the class 3 months. He said, no, but, this guy that was running it, his name was Dr. Steve Johnson. He said, Dr. Steve said, you're ready. Because you got to get up and you got to speak in the class and all stuff. He said, no, you're ready. We're licensing next month. We got all these females. We need a male. We need a man. He says, you're the one. I said, wow, okay. And so I kind of knew from there, I know God leads us through opening doors and closing doors. And this door just kept opening itself, and I'm just following. I'm just literally following. I went from that. I started a Bible study that we were doing for a whole year, every first Friday at this hotel. I would book this hotel ballroom and just go in there and do a Bible study. A bunch of people show up. That turned into what we now know as my church, the California Worship Center. And so for 10 years, this is what we've been doing, man.
Yeah, listening to that, the leaning into your gift that God continues to drop the little hints or leading you to is so refreshing to hear, because there are many who are walking around, and unfortunately, I always talk about each one of us has a gift that he sends us down here with. And it's the hope is that gift is shared.
Yeah.
And I say hope because, as we know, a number of gifts never get to be seen nor heard.
Yeah.
And that's not God's intention.
Right.
It's his intention for that to be unlocked and shared with the greater world, because that's going to help to unlock.
That's why he gave it.
That's why he gave it.
Yeah.
And so to hear someone like you have this testimony, because it would have been so easy for you to block out that calling with all that you've already done and you're doing, right?
I tried to block it out.
Listen, I'm sure, because you're the music guy. You're doing great. You're living your life.
I'm a producer.
You're a producer, writer, all the things.
I'm half a gangster. I'm cool. I got my family brewing. I got my wife. I got a little money. Like, what am I doing? And I had to think, man, God gave me all this. And so while I'm saying no, in the middle of that, I go to the doctor, find out I have kidney cancer. And he's like, your kidney is a grapefruit-sized tumor on it. It's been there for a while. We got to take it out. I'm on, the operating table, and they take my kidney out. I'm sitting there. I'm saying, okay, God, I'll say yes. You don't have to get my attention this way. Yeah. I'm not saying God struck me with kidney cancer, but I will say the testimony is I was diagnosed with cancer on Friday and cancer-free the next Friday. No chemo, no radiation, none of that. And so I do recognize God's divine hand in that, and that I got off the table and accepted my call, and I've been running ever since.
So, wow. I know your faith obviously has to play a big role in all that you do.
Yeah.
Talk about when your faith was challenged and you kind of needed what you needed to do to kind of further secure your stance within it.
I mean, I can talk about a time, or I can talk about 100 times.
Yeah.
Because if you're a man of faith, your faith will always be tested, because you have to latch on to the fact and hold on to this fact that faith without a corresponding action doesn't work. The Bible puts it this way: it says faith without works is dead. And so sometimes, people of faith, we tend to try to use faith as some sort of like magic trick. Like, God, you're just going to sit back, you're going to faith it, manifest it, think about it, and it's just going to pop open and just happen. Pow! No. You got to get up and work. You have to move. You have to put action. You can say, okay, this is how faith works. Say, for instance, I wanted to buy a house. This was maybe in the late 90s. And at the time, I didn't have the money for this house. This man showed me this house. Actually showed me some land. He was going to build a house. And I didn't have that money. I had, to be honest, I might have had $5,000, $6,000 to my name. Mm-hmm. It was going to cost $800,000 to build this house. We're on the land, and when he says $800,000, I looked at my dad, who also doesn't have that money. He looks at my dad's faith in his face. My dad goes, okay. That's all it was.
Right.
He was so sure that this could happen, and just in his demeanor, it jumped into me. I said, okay, let's do it. And I signed on a dotted line to purchase a house to be built for $800,000 when I had $5,000, $6,000 in my pocket. That's a faith. What? Move. Mm-hmm. It's action. I have faith. Now let's make the move. By the time they built that house, I had triple the money I needed for it. Faith makes moves. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. And so sometimes I think we forget that. Mm-hmm. And we want to it's not working. No, it's not that it's not working. You're not working. You know what I'm saying?
I look at, as a pastor, you're very familiar with fasting, right? You task or challenge the congregation to fast, which is more than just food or drugs or alcohol, social media, whatever. Is there a communal fast that you would advocate we move on to further our clarity, our alignment, our focus, just moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you talk about fasting. I'll start by saying every year, my church, I put them on the 21-day fast, and it's it's not legalistic. We do no meat, no sweets, no alcoholic treats, 21 days. But then outside of that, corresponding with that, when we get out of the fast, we just got out of the fast a few weeks ago, and then we started a 40-day prayer, 12 noon. Every day, because when the Bible talks about fasting, it's always with prayer. It's prayer and fasting, prayer and fasting, and the two things they just go hand in hand. And so I would advocate with all of your fasting, whatever you're fasting from, do not fast in a way where you're just looking at it as a break from all your bad habits.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a time out from bad behavior. It's just I'm not gonna do this for a while. No, let's fast. What I like to say, fast forward. So when you come off that fast, you're actually from here. You started here, now you're here, and you don't go back and pick the things up that you left
behind.
You fast forward. Everything in God is about moving that way. And so to stop your fast and just go back to whatever you're doing, is to waste your time. You know what I'm saying? There's something that should change in that fact. There's something that should be changed consistently forever after that, even if it's a small part of you.
That even brought so much more clarity for even me.
Mm.
When you talk about fast forward.
Yeah.
Because so often you are absolutely right. You know, and all the times I fasted, whether I said, I'm not going to do liquor, I'm not going to do sugar, I'm not going to do all these things, but I essentially went back, maybe not to the level in which I went back initially. But
and that's a start.
And that's a start,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you're suppressing it more.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have as much of an impact as it did.
Mm-hmm.
Great. However, now the real move and the real sexy play is, how am I fasting forward? What's the thing that I need to eliminate to get to that place that's necessary? So I'm thanking you for even no, that gem right there just hit me like, yeah, it's a fast forward. It's not a fast to take a break from to see how resilient I could be in my 21 days or my 40 days. It's how disciplined can I be to understand, or how disciplined can we be to understand that something can be removed and should be removed. Let's build the discipline to do that so that we can move forward.
You got to move forward. I mean, like right now, I'm doing something. It's not a fast. It's just I just committed to do 100 push-ups every day. That's not a lot of push-ups. You know, I mean, it's not well compared to what I used to do when I was younger.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, throughout this day, I'm gonna do 20 here, 10 there. I'm gonna do 100 push-ups. At some point this day, I'm gonna hit 100 every day for 85 days to see what happens, right? And when I get to the 85 days, I suspect that I'll just keep doing it every day, because after the 85 days, I've built it's a new culture that I've created within myself, that I do this every day.
You know, we always end these episodes with what are the three, you know, things, or we call them seeds, that you'd want to leave with the stewards of culture moving forward?
The first thing would be to be honest with yourself about just who are you for real. You got to get to know you. What you like, what you don't like, what your proclivities and propensities are. Like, you know, what are the things you're bent towards, that you just, you know, what are your habits? You know what I mean? What are your passions? Those type of things. What are my skills? What am I doing with myself? Just all these. You have to know yourself inside out, right? That's the first thing, because you can't get to the next thing without that. Because originality, in terms of whatever you do, if it's music, if you're a skateboarder, if you're a poet, originality comes from you knowing who you are and not being affected by everybody else. I'm who I am, whether you like me or not. You can compliment my music, you can hate my music. Because I love myself, it's not going to change my music either way. I'm not going to keep doing this because you like it. I'm going to keep doing it because I like it. I'm not going to stop doing this because you don't like it. I'm going to keep doing it because I like it. See what I'm saying? So because I know who I am, and I know who I am, and what I want, and what I love, and what I'm passionate about. And then the third thing would be to get a very, 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 like a bulldog tenacity grip and command of your instrument. Your instrument may be your mind, how you think, how you speak. It may be writing, whatever your gift is. Like, I'm a musician. I have command. When I put the guitar in my hand, the guitar doesn't play me. I play it. And some people play what they can, but some people play all they want. And I want to be a guy that plays what I could play whatever I wanted. If you look at a singer like my friend Kim Burrell. Kim Burrell doesn't just sing what she can sing. She can sing all she wants to sing. She has command of her instrument. She can do whatever she wants to do. Brandy Norwood can do whatever she wants to do with her voice. Doesn't even matter. You know what I'm saying? She just, they have command. And I'll add a fourth. People say preparation and practice. Practice makes perfect. I don't believe that at all. I don't practice trying to get things right. I practice so it's impossible for me to get it wrong. And that's what I would leave. Same thing I would leave with my three seeds, my three children. I want to leave this, world a better place for them, but I also want to leave them to the world, and they be the deposits that I leave. Y'all three gonna make this place a better place.
Those are some very rich, profound seeds, and I thank you for sharing those.
Oh man!
I also thank you for the journey that God has put you on, and that you've stepped into and embraced.
Yeah.
Which I think is a very key word, because so many don't embrace what it is that He has planned or what He has that's needed for us to be a collective better.
Right.
And I think we're both in places where our journeys are rooted in the collective betterment, not our own. It is way bigger than us. And we know who and where to give the glory to. And I want to thank you for being a steward and a reflection of that in the most genuine way.
I appreciate that, man.
And thank you. We truly appreciate your support, because it helps us fulfill our mission of promoting cultural awareness and personal development. Please click the subscribe button below to help ensure and solidify our mission.